So Dungeon Masters and D&D players, how does your game handle missing players at the D&D table? There's no dragon powerful enough to squash a D&D party faster than a session cancellation. There's 3 typical options I see, and I usually go with one. I wrote a couple more in my Substack. You can look over my Substack for more, but here's a brief overview. So as option 1, you can temporarily remove the character from the party and play anyways. So yeah, let's say someone cancels last minute or maybe the day before, but most people want to play still. Generally speaking, I find this is the best option while playing D&D. What's great about this solution is playing anyway just keeps the game moving for everybody. It allows the Dungeon Master just to keep the game running, they've already prepped, and you also respect the other player's time, like everybody else who's committed to play anyway. Main drawback, of course, is you're losing a player right away, and you might be losing a critical role in the party. It also really does break immersion sometimes if they just kind of disappear, unless you're kind of a casual group like my group and you kind of have a funny reason where they go. So I usually have a plausible explanation ready, like for example, the missing character is gone for a story-related reason. Maybe they have frequent downtime activities, like every player has something to do outside of adventuring. And perhaps they have a farm, or maybe somebody has a business or some sort of side hustle they do. Maybe the rogue is part of the Thieves Guild and they get called to do a quest. Another option is you could have a magic item that teleports players to a home base, or maybe there's a home base travels with the party, kind of like Howl's Moving Castle, or maybe they have like an airship or something similar. Another thing you have to do if you remove a character from the party is you have to be flexible as a dungeon master if you're DMing. So make sure you're scaling encounters if you're a dungeon master, so account for different party sizes. Here's an example. So here's a quick example from the blog I wrote. So you'll see in highlighted in yellow there is a ratio for how many monsters there are for players in the party. So I usually go off those ratios to kind of scale the encounter, whether I'm having 3 players or 6 players. So option 2 is you still play, but you have the missing character controlled by another player or the dungeon master. I've seen this done on like live streams before, like Critical Role. It's good for reinforcing, the story and immersion if done correctly, but it is really easy to screw up. You do keep the vital party role in the group, like if you're missing like a cleric or a paladin or like a frontliner. However, the main caveat to this is speed. So it's going to slow down the game for one, and you're also putting a lot of cognitive load on another player or a dungeon master. So especially at high level D&D, really above level 10, it depends on the player, but that cognitive load can really get exponentially tougher. I'm not a fan of this method because the DM has a lot to worry about already, as well as other player characters have a lot to worry about. And you also need really good, need permission. You got to talk about this in session 0. Like if someone's missing, you have to give permission for another player to control that character respectfully. So that's option 2. So option 3 is this: let the dragon win. Some beast cannot be slain. Just cancel the session. Canceling the session might be the best option. If not, a lot of people can make it. Or if you just don't cancel very often, and if you have a date that's set, you can reschedule. Again, sometimes cancellations are inevitable. Just make sure you're rescheduling with the absent player and the rest of the group, and on a best possible day. When you are rescheduling a D&D session, you're going to want to think about a predictable day of the week. Maybe create a poll in a group. If you're in a Discord group or something, create a poll that people can vote on for the preferred time or day. I also find having a very clear rule or guideline really helps, especially like a session 0 or just an update with your players pre-session. Here's some rules that I typically go by. Some of them are the rule of 3, like are 3 party members there? If so, run the game. Or sometimes, okay, we're missing half. So if you have 6 people or 3 out of 6 missing, don't run the game. This can vary a lot from group to group. Again, this requires some good communication. Yeah, my last piece of advice is check in with your group between games. Maybe just have an open group, like a Facebook group or Discord group, where you're just sharing memes, ideas, etc. Just maybe artwork that you like. even sometimes like having a fun activity helps between sessions. Don't frame it like homework, but sometimes like I've done character questionnaires before, so they can share their answers in character, and they can like have this prepared for the next D&D session if they want to share it, or they can just share it in the group chat when they want. Yeah, and if you're having a consistent absent player, just don't hesitate to check in. Like, just people are changing all the time. People's lives are changing. Talking with people one-on-one could just really help. So just make sure to check in with some people on occasion. So that's it for me. You can check out my Substack for more. It should be in my bio. But yeah, what does your table do when you have a missing player? I'm really curious what option you tend to go with. And if there's any tips you want to share with the community, feel free to leave that in the comments. Thank you.